Are you tired of a mundane routine lifestyle? You need a getaway. Here at Tacky Tourist Travel Company, our goal is to find the most unique and exciting trips possible for our clients. Say goodbye to the typical vacation and hello to adventure. Let's begin by traveling south to the savannas of Venezuela.
If you're searching for adventure and amazing scenery in the outdoor wildlife, then the savannas of Venezuela will be a perfect destination for you. The Gran Sabana of southeastern Venezuela entails of a beautiful landscape of rolling high plains, streams, and shrubby vegetation. In order to travel these parks by yourself, you must know some essential abiotic factors of the savanna in Venezuela. The major South American savanna has varying terrain ranging from dry and rocky to swampy or even foresty. Because this savanna is located close to the equator, average temperatures are pretty flat around the whole year, even between summer and winter. These temperatures entail from 20 to 24 degrees Celsius, or also in Fahrenheit 68 to 75 degrees. So year-round, the Gran Sabana is not too hot or not too cold to travel in, but due to the varied climates in the different parts of the savanna, it is smart to bring a jacket or even summer clothing with you depending on where you go. Over the course of the year, average rainfalls are between 2,000 and 3,000 millimeters, which is also between 78 and 120 inches of rain. Savannas generally have their rainy season in the summer months. For the savanna in southeastern Venezuela, that would be July. So it is highly recommended to not go in July because this expedition would entail of mainly outdoor hiking and events. The northeast and southeast trade winds are predominant and air humidity is high in the savannas of Venezuela. Due to the ecoregion having many fires, the soils are usually poor. The quality of the soil comes from high weathering rates and loss of nutrients such as phosphorus and other organic matters. Note that there is a dry season from December to March in the northern savanna, however, it is weak. Going back to the recurrent fire, this is an important constitution of the Grand Savanna, and the reason it is a savanna today and not a forest. The long-lasting impacts of recurrent fire have degraded the region from being a tropical forest environment to a more substitution of savanna environments. The savanna of Venezuela are located in a highly remote region, therefore there aren't many big cities surrounding the Gran Sabana. The closest town is Santa Elena de Uarén with a small population of 30,000 people, an extremely rural area, but probably has stops for hotels and other commodities. In 1962, the Canaima National Park was built by the Venezuelan government in order to protect the species endemic to the savannas of Venezuela. In 1994, UNESCO called this park, comprising mainly of Gran Sabana territory, a World Heritage Site. One endemic species in the savanna, called the Colostidus breweri, a type of frog, lives in a very remote region and an inaccessible region in the savanna. Because scientists have found these frogs in a very remote region, not much is known about the ecosystem surrounding them. However, we do know that the frogs live in quiet water sources, don't have fringe on their fingers, which can be unusual for frogs, and are small and light enough to help them flee from predators if needed. Many species of birds exist that are endemic to the Venezuelan savannas. One of these is the Tepui goldenthroat, a type of hummingbird. They live in low seasonally wet grasslands and use their long nectars for primary food sources from flowers and other plants. Once again, the Canaima National Park, issued by the government, exists to keep these species endemic to Venezuela and other South American countries in the savannas safe. The hummingbirds also help cross-pollinate some of the flowery plants of the Venezuelan savannas, which is an important factor to the growth and reproduction of the plants in the savannas. The Colisteus brewery, on the other hand, helps to decrease the amount of insects by being a predator to them in the savanna. The Venezuelan Gran Sabana is home to thousands of endemic plants. If you go there, you'll most likely find candelabra trees and marsh pitcher plants. Candelabra trees can be found in savannas all over the world. Their scientific name is Euphorbia ingens. They have adapted to their region by having poisonous white sap in the bark to protect itself from animals, and they contain sharp spines on branches for further protection. The poisonous white sap can burn human skin, so be careful if you travel to the Gran Sabana and spot a tree that looks like this. The candelabra trees can reach a great height of 10 meters. Marsh pitcher plants, also called Heliumphora, the scientific name, are endemic to only Venezuelan savannas or in the Gran Sabana. Be careful if you spot one because their evolved functions will trap and kill insects for food source, so they are a carnivorous plant despite their pretty and curled leaves. Both of these plants have self-serving functions and adaptations to help them survive in a hostile community of plants in the savanna. An endangered species that can be found in or near the Venezuelan savannas is the giant Amazon otter, or the Pteronura brasiliensis, found and endemic to northern South America. The giant otter is a carnivorous animal and lives near freshwater sources and rivers, and is at the top of the food chain in the ecosystems that surround this otter because they are natural predators. However, the fact of being a natural predator is changing due to human threat. The giant Amazon otter is endangered today due to suffering from fur and meat trade that is illegal, and the gold mining in the regions of Brazil also harms otters. World Land Trust, a non-profit organization, is dedicated to conserving endangered species worldwide, and the giant Amazon otter is not an exception. In 2004, Peru, although not in Venezuela, created a national park, Alto Purus, to conserve these important endangered species and other endangered species and plants. By including all of this essential information to travel the exotic and breathtaking views of the Gran Sabana, we hope that Tacky Tourist Travel has accommodated to your desires. Have a safe travel.
Thank you, Shreya. And now to Nathan, who will share information about your potential trip to Western Australia.
G'day mate, this is the Western Australian outback. Here you can enjoy the pristine canyons and desert structures from astounding viewpoints. You can also enjoy the diverse wild species of plants and animals in their own natural ecosystems. You can also take a trip down beautiful underground exotic caverns as well. The summers here are what you'd expect, hot, dry and sandy. The average max summer temp around here is 29 degrees Celsius. You may not actually believe it, but February is actually the hottest month for us. The winters here usually last from around June to August and consist of constant downpours and muddy terrain. It doesn't really feel like the best, mate. And the average annual max temp in these winters is around 12 degrees Celsius. We can provide you with a map of all the major cities and desert attractions you can have fun at. This includes Perth, Dampier, Port Hedland and Fremantle. The best attractions around here are the Pinnacles, Calabai National Park, and Gilly Caves, Nambung National Park, and the breathtaking Wave Rock. Mammals in our desert usually come out at night, which leaves insect buggers to come out during the day. Make sure to bring some bug repellent for that, mate. Our wildlife is rich with kangaroos who roam the lands. These guys adapt to their desert environment by using their natural hopping ability combined with their protected feet and tail for balance to move across the sand dunes and rocky terrain with ease. They also have their pouches act as shade for their joeys during times of unrelenting heat. Kangaroos are large grazing animals like deer and antelope, but don't let that fool you though, mate. They can still put up a good fight if you get too close. You're better off taking pics instead. Our most endangered animal is this little rodent called Gilbert's potoru, aka Potorus gilberti. This critically endangered animal was once widespread throughout this area, but now the numbers have reached critically low levels. It's nocturnal and hides in the dense thickets while not crossing open spaces. This is because they don't want to get snatched by predators. It's nicknamed the rat kangaroo. As implied earlier, Gilbert's potoru is often hunted by many predators like snakes and birds of prey. Their diet usually consists of mainly underground fungi along with some fruits. They have become endangered, but not through any form of negative human impact, but rather through a lethal disease called cryptococcosis. This disease kills the potoru young before reproducing, dwindling their numbers bit by bit. In an effort to protect the remaining population, the Australian government moved a couple of potorus to Bold Island in North Carolina, with additional potorus going there over time to establish a breeding ground free from predation. In this year, Michaelmas Island, which is located off the western coast of Australia and also lacks predation, was chosen as another breeding ground for the potorus to recover their population and hopefully rekindle their numbers. Our plants include the paperbark tree. It serves as shade for many insects, reptiles, and small mammals, along with having some sources of water underneath. Our western coastal wattle provides many desert organisms their food for the days. Western Australia may be your ideal vacation place if you're into the extreme deserts. If not, then you can always enjoy the scenery from the shades. Either way, you'll have a fun time. I guarantee it, mate.
Thanks, Nathan. And lastly, we will move out of the southern hemisphere and journey all the way up to the Arctic Circle to learn more about the possibilities awaiting you in the Siberian tundra. Welcome to the Siberian tundra. If you crave a vacation that will put you out of your comfort zone and allow you to visit a region of the world most people never will, the tundra just may be for you. The Siberian tundra is located in the northern hemisphere above the Arctic Circle, stretching over most of northern Russia. This terrain is treeless, mostly rocky land, including some of the alpine region, and is snow-covered for much of the year until the summer brings bursts of wildflowers. A major city nearby the Arctic tundra is Yakutsk, Russia, which is a port on the Lena River and a major supplier of diamonds. It's actually the coldest city of its size or greater in the entire world. While visiting the Arctic tundra, you should make a point to take a Lena River cruise and travel through the heart of Siberia. Additionally, you should try and visit the Great Arctic State Nature Reserve, where you can experience substantial expanses of true wilderness in a protected area. The average temperature in the Arctic tundra is -12 to -6 degrees Celsius, with temperatures ranging to as low as -40 degrees Celsius and as high as 12 degrees Celsius. The annual rainfall in the tundra is very low, with only 6 to 10 inches of precipitation per year, including melted snow. The seasonal weather patterns established in the tundra are that of very long winters and short summers, with the summer growing season being just 50 to 60 days, during which time the sun shines 24 hours a day. Additionally, the tundra is very windy, with winds from 60 miles per hour down to 30 miles per hour. The soil of the Siberian tundra is made up of two layers: the active layer, in which it freezes and thaws and is 10 inches to 3 feet deep, and the permafrost layer, which stays frozen throughout the winter and summer and can be as deep as 1,968 feet. Nearly 75% of the tundra is covered by this permafrost. If you're planning to come visit the tundra, you should definitely go during the short summer season and should try and come in July, as this is typically the warmest month. However, don't get too excited, as the temperature still rarely gets over freezing. Definitely pack warm clothing and dress in layers, bringing high SPF sunscreen and sunglasses, as the sun will be out for most, if not all, the day. If you decide to brave the winters, make sure to have very heavy duty warm clothing, such as balaclava, goggles, and a flashlight, as the sun will not be out for the majority of the day. If you're a Harry Potter fan, this snowy owl may look familiar. The snowy owls are located around the Arctic Circle and usually feed on small rodents such as lemmings and moles, as well as rabbits. They build their nests on the ground, but on a higher place than the surrounding land so as to have good visibility. These owls are actually among the largest in the Arctic as well as in North America, and unlike most other types of owls, they are diurnal. They've adapted to their chilly environment through their light coloration, which helps them to camouflage in the snow, which is present for most of the year. Additionally, the dense layer of down overlaid with thick feathers helps to insulate the owl's entire body, which is very important due to the severely cold temperatures of the Arctic tundra. Within the biome, these owls affect the population of the animals they eat. For example, one snowy owl may kill up to 1,600 lemmings in just 1 year. Another animal endemic to the Arctic tundra is the ermine, which is a small weasel-like creature. These are very solitary animals. The only time they spend together is during mating season and in the first years of their lives. The ermine typically eat Arctic hare and lemming, as well as small rodents, birds, and other creatures. They are able to catch animals larger than themselves due to their very sharp teeth. In the biome, although they are small, because of these teeth, they are able to act as fierce predators and secondary consumers. The ermine have adapted to the tundra environment in several ways, the first being the changing of its coat's color to chocolate brown during the summer and white during the winter so as to allow for year-round camouflage. Additionally, the ermine would traditionally make their dens in the old roots of a tree, but as there are very few trees in the tundras, ermines have adapted to living by making their dens in the crevice of a rock. There are a relatively low number of types of plants that are able to grow in the Arctic tundra, as the lack of light, the unusually dry short growing season, and the major lack of nutrients that must be dealt with within the Arctic tundra are too much for most plants to handle. However, the Arctic moss, which is an aquatic plant found in the lakes of tundra as well as around the bogs and fens of the tundra, is an extremely slow-growing, long lifespan plant that has been able to adapt to these conditions. It grows low to the ground and underwater to avoid the harsh winds and freezing temperatures of the tundra, and when it's not growing, it stores nutrients so new leaves can be made quickly the next spring. Within the biome, it helps to cover and warm the ground, allowing other plants to grow, and is eaten by migrating animals. Another plant that has survived these harsh conditions is the confusingly named caribou moss. Although it's called caribou moss, it's actually a lichen and is made up of fungi and algae, which live and grow together in a symbiotic relationship. It appears as a gray-green, spongy-type mass and grows on rocks as well as on the ground. It has hollow stems and grows to be 1 to 4 inches high. This plant has adapted to the conditions of the tundra, as it can make food for itself when the temperature gets very low and there is little light, which are conditions very commonly found in the tundra. Additionally, it can survive for long periods of time without water. Whenever it does not receive rain in quite some time, it will dry out and go into a dormant stage until rainfall occurs again. Even after a very long period of dormancy, caribou moss will still resurge and grow again. Within the biome, caribou moss provides a source of nutrition for animals such as caribou, who feed on this lichen during the coldest periods of the year. It's the only option they really have for food at the point when the weather is cold and there's little other vegetation left. And caribou moss contains a lot of carbohydrates that give the caribou the energy to make body heat. Polar bears, otherwise known as Ursus maritimus, are an example of endangered species within the Arctic country. These are the largest carnivores on the planet, who live in dens often located near areas of water and ice flows so as to be near their main source of food, seals. Their bodies are very accustomed to the cold, with a thick layer of blubber around 4.5 inches thick and shallow hafts of their hair providing them with excellent insulation. Sadly, these beautiful creatures have been hunted for their fur throughout the course of human history, and more recent human activities such as pollution and oil drilling have created habitat loss for the polar bears as well. Furthermore, polar bears are listed as vulnerable on the Endangered Species website, as the possibility of melting ice floes in the Arctic region due to climate change further threatens their habitat. All countries where the polar bears exist do have conservation projects and restrict hunting. The U.S. Endangered Species Act of 1973 was used for the first time to protect a species threatened by climate change in 2008. This species was, of course, polar bears. However, though this was a step in the right direction, polar bears were protected only from the direct effects of hunting and some other activities, and thus are still vulnerable to many harmful actions by humans. The plight of the polar bear has sparked much debate as climate change is a hot topic, and because many oil and gas industries fear that moves to protect the bears may end up being used as a lever to regulate carbon emissions. Visit the Siberian tundra to see firsthand the world these amazing plants and animals survive in each day.
Tacky tourist travel for when you seek adventure. Travel for when you seek adventure.